Hi language learners, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to give 5 general tips that will help you to learn a foreign language. I think these are good for everybody, but maybe especially for beginners. I want to give you 5 general tips that are going to help you stay in the game long enough and not give up, not stop and start, so that you can start to realize success or taste success. Okay, and these will roughly go in the order that I would apply them. The first one has to do with mindset. I want you to work on cultivating a positive mindset within yourself, because it is going to be difficult. You're going to have to go through some periods of self-doubt. You're going to have trouble at first, for example, just building up your powers of memory. If you haven't done anything in the recent months or years, like learning a foreign language where you have to memorize and remember a lot of stuff, just getting your memory up and running is going to be a little bit difficult. Also, opening your ear so that you're able to hear this foreign language that your teachers are speaking, or your tutor, or even videos on YouTube. You might be listening and thinking, I can't even differentiate these sounds. It all just sounds like a blur. It just sounds like nonsense to me. This is a period that you're going to have to go through. And I don't think that you necessarily have to consume a lot of positive content about language learning necessarily, although that might be good. You can just tap into any sort of positive thought leaders or influencers who talk about building a positive mentality. That's something that I've done pretty much daily for, I don't know, a long time, many, many, many years. And I think that's been useful for me in all areas of life. Second tip, try to roll with the right people. There's going to be people who might criticize your efforts. They might make fun of you for the particular language that you chose. They might make fun of you for your efforts. And it's quite possibly because they haven't been successful in their own life with certain goals that they've set, language learning or otherwise. So you really want to be careful, and you want to learn to turn a deaf ear, if that's even a saying, or make your ears deaf to people who are criticizing you too much, and just ignore them and stay away from them. In time, when you're strong enough, you can learn to confront them constructively, but probably in the beginning it's best to just avoid them, especially if you're a younger person, because that can make the issue worse if you try to do battle with such people. Better to just avoid them and try to get in with the right groups, people who see your potential, people who are after the same goals. And this will help to reinforce your language learning in another way too, because you're going to start to make friends with like-minded individuals, and language learning is such a social thing anyway at its core. So you're going to want to do that anyway. And these people will help you stay accountable and stay consistent. Point number 3. Once you've got your positive mindset, you're cultivating that regularly. Once you're hanging out with the right people, like-minded people, positive people, I want you to start to examine your habits and examine your consistency and reflect on that. You're going to want to understand, how does habit formation work, and how do you build up strong habits? You're going to want to understand the psychology of habit formation. What triggers you to start a study session? What are the cues? What is the feeling like? And what are the rewards like? You're going to want to also build in rewards for yourself and have ways that you congratulate yourself, give yourself a pat on the back when you complete study sessions. The rewards could be related to language learning, but they don't have to be. And one thing that I like to do is, if I've built a habit strong to the point where I've done it for several weeks without missing a day or without missing whatever the study time is, then I want to find a way to increase the challenge of that habit. It might be the duration of time that I spend doing the thing, but it might not necessarily be time. It might be the difficulty of the material or some other part of the context. But habit formation is important. Learning a foreign language takes a long time. There's not really any shortcuts or hacks at the end of the day. You have to be content with the small daily progress and make sure that's happening. And I know for some people they don't like habit tracking. They think maybe it gives them too much stress or they feel it's too boring. I think that too can be learned and practiced. At first, tracking your habits, reflecting on your habits, you might not like to do it, but if you can get in the habit of tracking your habits, you're going to learn to like to do it and see the value in it. And when you see how your habits have built up over time successfully, that's going to make you real proud, and that's going to make you not want to stop. Number 4, especially important in our modern times, which are so distracted with technology, screens, and social media, you should practice the art of building your focus and avoiding distraction. A lot of people nowadays, especially young people, digital natives, they've grown up with all this technology. They do a lot of their studying with technology and with screens. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be so easy to be distracted once we're on these devices, which have so many other functions, so many other apps, so many notifications that are making sounds and flashing. So you've got to learn how to study in a focused way and build up your focus. What I see with a lot of young people nowadays and with a lot of young students nowadays is that they can only focus on something for just a few minutes before they have to check their phone and see if any messages came in. And then they go back for a few minutes, and then they go back to check. And they're constantly swiping back and forth and moving between different digital devices. There is a cognitive switching cost which is severe. If you have a broken up study session like that, it's quite possible you haven't learned much at all in 20 or 30 or 40 minutes, because the mind just can't switch like that all the time and come away with much. So you have to go back to an old school way where people developed their deep work mindset and they had the cognitive bandwidth to stay focused, to get into a deep flow state, and to stay in that flow state where you start to reap the exponential rewards of a longer focused study session where you're focused on one thing. So you're going to want to build up to that. It might be really hard at first, and that's okay. But you might want to see, how long can I focus on something, and how long is it enjoyable to be focused on this one thing before I feel like I have to check other things, and build up from there. Try to make the study session longer and have a time when you allow yourself to check. But you want to strive to make the study session longer and longer. Maybe you can try something like the Pomodoro technique. People seem to really like that. Okay, and the last one is make it a blend of seriousness and fun. Another common pitfall is that people try to make language learning too academic. It's too study-based, as a matter of fact. I know I just got finished talking about a focused study session. But the things that you study and the way that you do it, they can be fun, they can be interesting. You can go out to museums, you can play some sort of a language learning game, you can absorb your target language through content that you love. Maybe it's a particular sort of TV show, maybe anime, or maybe there's a music artist that you really like. But remember to keep the enrichment and the fun and also the social nature of language learning part of what you do. Sometimes people fall into this trap of thinking it has to be just like they used to learn things in school, or just like the way they are learning things in school. School is kind of a weird environment, actually, and this is coming from a teacher. This is a teacher talking here. The way that we learn in school is very peculiar because it is geared towards getting high scores, passing tests, achieving levels and ranks. And actually, I find that to be something that is quite divorced from the way that humans naturally learn and like to learn. It's sort of an artificial construct that has been created by our modern societies and industrialized societies. It can do certain things well. I mean, if your goal is to reach a high level fast so that you can pass a certain type of test or whatever, or maybe you need to ratchet up a particular cross section of the language quickly because you're going to need it for a job or need it for travel. Okay, maybe that's one thing. Maybe that's the way that you want to go. But for the rest of us, it's not definitely necessary that you have to study that way. And for a lot of people, that makes them give up because they might be busy with a job, they might be busy with family, they might be busy with graduating from university, going out into the real world, quote unquote. Anyways, they're leading busy lives. They have a lot of responsibilities. So when you tell them that you got to study from this book or you got to join from this class, that might actually deter them a little bit. So strike the balance between seriousness and fun. If you're feeling after long periods of study and many weeks or months of study that this it's not really any fun, I don't like this. It's a weird feeling to have, right? Because maybe you've decided you want to learn that language, but you're just sitting back after a lot of time studying it and just thinking like, I don't enjoy this. I don't know why I've gotten myself into this. I think I want to give up. Maybe that's a case of not having enough fun in the process, not enough enrichment, not meeting enough like-minded positive people and associating with them. So do try to strike the balance there between fun and seriousness. Realize that nowadays you can learn in so many other ways. It doesn't have to be the traditional way that you remember or the traditional way that you've been partaking in the recent years. Well, I hope this advice helps. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you'll come back here to join me for another future video related to language learning or personal development. I'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye for now.